Thank you very much for joining us today at SAP Now. My name is Matthias Vogel. I'm a digital supply chain solution principal, and I'm very happy to lead you through this first session of this track, talking about how to achieve a resilient supply chain in the times of the unexpected. Nowadays, there's empty streets in Dubai. In many buildings, the lights are off. People are working from home. Obviously, this is because of the COVID-19 crisis, where we have clean air, but on the other side we have tens of thousands that die in single countries within 1 month, and the poorest are suffering the most, or their suffering is even going undetected. But we also see that the economy in most parts of the world has not been prepared, and that supply chains are more than ever in the focus. Let's look at how we could achieve supply chain resilience in times of the unexpected in a bit more detail. Starting in the 80s, traditional supply typically were globalizing and looking for a global cost minimum, trying to generate value by finding the cost minimum. So significant outsourcing happened with electronics being produced in Singapore later than in China, or with textiles in Bangladesh, later on in Myanmar and in other places. Also, we all know the huge outsourcing of IT that moved to India. Therefore, most supply chains have been one-dimensional, with only one supplier per each component, and only an alternate supplier in case of a very critical part. You can see that typically products were sourced from Asia, then production could happen in the Middle East, and from there in a typical supply chain maybe exports could happen towards the North American markets. These supply chains were coping well with situations where we had issues with the local suppliers with regards to their finances, in case we had a local weather issue leading to disruption, or where we might have encountered congestion in traffic leading to delays. These could be managed by local buffers, maybe by applying express shipments, or by providing financial aid to hit suppliers. But today we entered a new normal, and we see that most supply chains are not prepared to handle the unexpected. The last 15 years we have seen several unexpected events leading to significant disruptions in the supply chain, such as in summer 2005, the Hurricane Katrina, leaving 1,200 dead and causing damage of over $100 billion. Or the volcano Eyjafjallajökull in Iceland, 2010, that has been shutting down 75% of all of Europe's air traffic. And obviously the devastating Tohoku earthquake 1 year later only, that led to a tsunami flooding 500 square kilometers of the Japanese coast and killing over 20,000 people. As a consequence, in many factories globally, car productions had to be stopped due to missing components. But a global impact caused by a virus had been unprecedented in our lifetimes. The global spread of COVID-19 has led to the collapse of health systems not able to cope with the number of patients. Obviously, protection of lives and the flattening of the curve of infections has gotten the absolute priority, but on the other side, it has led broadly to a stop of business activities worldwide and leading to rippling effects into the financial systems, and sometimes we've seen that causing already additional victims, in particular in the poorest nations. Movements since then have been significantly dropping, with 4 billion people globally restricted in their movements. Easing the restrictions in individual countries to reactivate business operations will require significant international coordination due to the global nature of supply chains, while today it's unclear whether or not it's possible that new infections can happen. Customers we are working with have been struggling significantly the challenges on their supply chain. Georgia Pacific, for example, had to cope with a huge increase in demand on their toilet paper. There was a significant increase also for HP on electronics, but they were struggling significantly with transportation issues. Roche Pharmaceuticals had challenges to cope in their workforce with opening and closing individual sites. And a significant demand drop we've seen for companies like Lamb Weston producing potatoes for French fries. Due to the closure of hotels and restaurants, the price of these bulk packages of 25 kilos have dropped to below $10. We all have seen deficiencies in supply chains ourselves. We've seen the missing goods on the shelves in the supermarkets due to hoarding. We have seen the missing protective equipment for healthcare workers and the massive travel restrictions, leaving hundreds of thousands stranded in remote locations, having to be transported back by the governments. With regards to the supply chains and the business, we see significantly challenges as well in logistics with closed borders. We see trucks being requested to transport the massive increase in demand of these consumer goods. On the other side, parts missing to continue to run the production of many factories. We have seen also that passenger planes are not transporting goods anymore, so air freights for cargo have risen greatly. Because businesses stop, there is a bigger financial issue, which in turn leads to a drop in demand. With the unknown future on employment, who will buy an expensive phone? Who will buy a car on credit or even a home? Being unclear about job security is not only a personal issue, it has a rippling effect on countries where there's a battle starting about who should cover for the respective debt. While each company is different and has an individual impact, we can segment the risks and vulnerabilities by individual factors. In the area of sourcing, it's a question, are there alternate suppliers we can source from? How complete did the outsourcing and offshoring happen? With regards to products, there's a question of how complex are these products and how many efforts are involved in producing these goods from a money perspective. What happens in case of a production stop with regards to liquidity? The protection of workforce is an important factor. So what's the exposure with regards to the workforce while many workers are not available to do their job? Can this be covered by alternate colleagues? Or is there a major gap on contingent skills? And all of that obviously is only possible as long as there's the financial survival guaranteed, if liquidity is secured to ensure the business continuity. What we from the digital supply chain side are looking at is not only business continuity, but to support the core planning and logistics processes to manage the overall strategy in all of these areas where planning and logistics help to make a supply chain more resilient for the future. So how to survive and thrive with a resilient supply chain? A number of factors are clear. The customer, with anything we do, has to remain in the center. And we have to understand any unexpected demand anytime, immediately. We have to meet at any time customers' expectations and provide a great experience for the customer, not just on the product, but all the way from the order to the delivery and to the service. It's not only about the short-term visibility, but we have to provide visibility also into the newly formed onshore and nearshore networks across a large number of business partners. This will enable additional production and distribution options, capacity that can be leveraged fast actually in the case of the unexpected. Here comes to play the concepts and ideas of Industry 4.0 to have more automation leveraged in the manufacturing environment to increase overall productivity. Overall, risks and rewards have to be balanced. Liquidity and profitability have to be managed. This will be the cornerstone of a resilient supply chain in the future. To get there, let's encourage you to reimagine a number of your core business processes. For the design of products, how could you substitute components or raw materials for your production? For planning, how could you imagine to simulate if any spike in demand could be met with an alternate capacity, and more in general, any balance of demand and supply being managed in a profitable way? For manufacturing, how could other sites or contracted business partners by digital means be enabled to produce something that would be critical for you? Imagine logistics. With the given restrictions, how could you ensure that you further on receive raw materials and you are able to distribute your goods? And finally, for assets, and from the asset perspective, how are you ensuring that your critical assets remain available? These are all critical processes from design to operate, as we call it, that may not fail. But if they fail today, it's even more important that they should not fail in the future. Because it's not about how you fall or how you fail in this case. It's about how you get up again. We would like to help you to build a resilient supply chain from design all the way to operate. These are the processes that make up our digital supply chain solution space. All of these processes are closely linked, like, as you might have heard, the digital twin concept that spans from the design of a product through the manufacturing all the way to the operations. But what we've seen today is that planning and delivery are very important to establish a resilient supply chain. Planning to provide visibility and to understand vulnerabilities and risks. To have insight into the need for and financial impact of buffers. And to at any time be able to simulate the what if before making decisions. And on the delivery side, to overcome the lockdown consequences with a very tight collaboration in networks and to establish a new resilience and visibility in logistics. So in a resilient supply chain, networks will become more and more important. Agility to repurpose existing capacity at onshore or nearshore is key. And the focus switches from the short-term cost optimization to the long-term profitability and growth. So how could this look like? So manufacturing centers are near shore or onshore close to the market, and intelligent networks are managed by sophisticated planning and execution. They are ensuring that companies can adjust very quickly to the new reality. From a logistics side, for that purpose, we have established services on a logistics business network, linking shippers, carriers, and networks of digital logistics providers and further specialized networks, content, and other topics together to identify effectively capacities and replan movements, and to utilize collaboration across the network to quickly adjust to changes when tracking of goods requires it. SAP Logistics Business Network is a cloud solution very closely linked to our intelligent ERP, be it ECC or S/4HANA, and to our transportation management solutions. On the digital business planning side, there's SAP Integrated Business Planning, providing a real-time view of demand and supply across the typical silos of an organization, and further by collaborating with tier 2, 3 or 4 of suppliers, determining the lowest risk inventory strategy while securing a profitable financial result. Integrated business planning as a cloud solution closely integrates with our intelligent ERP as well as with SAP Ariba and other solutions such as SAP Analytics Cloud. It's the cornerstone of a resilient supply chain. SAP Integrated Business Planning with its control tower, its analytics and collaboration platform can be used to act today to better manage the COVID-19 crisis and to ensure business continuity. The cloud solution can be accessed from anywhere from a mobile device, and scenarios can be even run by your partners integrating the solution and providing best practice templates for managing the corona pandemic. The integrated business planning process definition of robust tactical inventory positioning and sales and operations planning provides a forward-looking view, making your supply chain more resilient in the future. If you're impacted by the COVID-19 crisis, we are providing for customers, if they sign up until the 15th of May, a full functional system of integrated business planning. All the capabilities of the system via qualified partners for up to 90 days. With that, you would be able to have a detailed view on demand and supply, on how it impacts your network locations, and also to set up simulations and compare individual scenarios side by side. If you're interested in that, please reach out to us directly or click on the link at sap.com. You'll also find my contact details here. Please feel free to directly contact us for this 90-day offer. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having listened to these 20 minutes on the virtual event on how to achieve a resilient supply chain in the times of the unexpected. I hope you liked it. In case of any questions, please feel free to reach out to us or to any of our local colleagues. Stay safe and have a great day.